WBOK, 12:30 a.m. I know that we came in strong in the 8 o'clock hour with that, the topic about religion, talking about Jeff Landry and the policies that have advanced. And I know we had to get in there and we got out right quick, but we will continue it another day. Alicia says, I can understand when people say they have a different Jesus. I myself often say I follow the Jesus that turned over tables. Curran Terry says, Professor, former Good Morning Show co-host, named 3 Jesuses: Black Jesus, White Jesus, and Green Jesus. Understanding different perspectives. Whatever Jesus you are following or decide to follow, or just make sure it's the one that helps you to be a decent person and to be accountable and responsible. That's all I ask in regards to that. But over here, going to pivot, talking about the RTA. We have Lona Hankins in the studio with us. Good morning to you. How you feeling?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well. Fared out okay yesterday. Had a little flooding on my street, but not too bad. How did you fare out yesterday?
Personally, I fared out fine. I think our fleet fared out well. We had to pause service as it started to flood on the particular routes, but I think our team responded well and served our community in a proper manner.
Mm-hmm. Since the last time you were here, the last time you came, that was in 2024. That was the beginning of the year.
Yes, I think either the beginning of the year or the end of the year.
End of last year. Since then, what updates? Do we have any updates since the last time?
Yes. So, we've recently published our annual report, and I'm pretty excited about our accomplishments last year. Mm-hmm. So we were able to complete the ferry terminal building. That grant had been open since 2014. So we brought that project to closure. And so I was pretty excited about that. We were also able to secure about $1 million from the federal government, 70 for electric vehicles and 25 to build the downtown transit center. Mm-hmm. For the first time, our city will have a wonderful space where our people can get in out of the elements in order to make their bus transfers. Yeah. So we'll be starting the design of that project later on.
And where is that going to be at?
Right now it's slated for the corner of Canal and Basin between Krause, where it was 50 years ago. But it's also that traditional uptown-downtown exchange, right? You hear stories about girls from Prep meeting guys from St. Aug, or
at the bus
stop, Mac 35 or Coin meeting each other at the bus stop. And that has traditionally been our transfer point. So our goal is to create an environment that truly welcomes our riders. We've also launched a whole rider amenities initiative. So we've started design on the West Bank Ferry Terminal. We've received over a couple of grants, almost $8.5 million to redevelop that site and make it hopefully a community use as well as administrative offices. Make it more ADA accessible. So that's our goal for that building. And then we are in the study phase of what we're calling mobility hubs. Mm-hmm. In 2021, we received a grant from the FTA in order to redesign where our major bus stop exchanges are. So if you think Carrollton and Claiborne, that intersection has a streetcar, it has the New Orleans RTA buses, and it has the Jefferson Parish buses. But for the pedestrian that wants to do an exchange on either one of their buses, they have to navigate almost 6 lanes of traffic.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so how do we make that exchange better for our community? And I'm envisioning as without having details of the design just yet, but think about how that Cemeteries exchange is over in Lakeview, right? The bus and the streetcar, and so all the pedestrians just go to one location.
One spot. Mm-hmm.
And it makes it easier. If we can design that for that will allow Jefferson buses and New Orleans buses to exchange at the exact same location, and then perhaps long-term dream about maybe a streetcar rolling into that. I'm saying long-term, not immediately, but long-term, right? How can we make that exchange better for pedestrians? We're looking at the New Orleans East location. How do we make improvements at the library where we're currently using as a bus hub, and also at the Desire location? So we have about 6 locations throughout our city that we're trying to improve, but we're in the study phase trying to define what is needed based on the size of traffic and the amount of ridership that we have. Mm-hmm. And then we are rolling out shelters. We have 11 of 25 complete, and rebuilding our shelter program so that every year, our board a few years back committed about $500,000 per year to building bus shelters. We know we need many more shelters in our city, but how do we build better shelters and then programmatically roll them out based on need? We've recently partnered with the Community for a Better New Orleans and RIDE. Those nonprofits won a grant from GNOF, and this grant is to design and build a better shelter that is more New Orleans-like, not just an off-the-shelf one, something that our local vendors can potentially manufacture, and something that is deserving of our community and our climate.
So the last time that you were with us, I do remember we were talking about the reduction in service to better serve people so that the schedule will be more on time. How has that been working?
So we were able to reduce service. I think we are more reliable, and we are looking at the data now. I'm glad you asked about that. We're also in the middle of conducting a survey, a rider survey. So I'm going to ask riders to go to our app and our website and take the survey, because we really want to hear from them. We did a survey immediately once we started, so we can have a before, and now we're doing the surveys open for the next 2 weeks, so we can get some gauge of the results after how we're performing. Our data shows that we're hitting our delivery rates, so we're not having as many buses not pulling out because of fleet issues, and we're just making some tweaks for our schedule. The other thing is we also ordered 29 buses. And so we've recently did a post, we're calling it the birth of a bus, so you can see the bus as it's being manufactured. So again, if you go to our website and our social media sites, you'll see that the first set of the 21 are actually under fabrication right now.
So birth of a bus, let's stay there for a little bit. 40% of your fleet is past its useful life. So with the birth of a bus, we get to watch in real time. Well, not in real time, but when it updates.
You get to watch our manufacturing process. You would get to watch how it'd be really cool for the kids, right? So, and particularly our STEM kids. The kids.
Is this happening here or
no? It's okay. The buses are being manufactured in these buses are being manufactured in Minnesota.
Okay.
We have a Buy America. There's only really 2 bus manufacturers in the country, and there's a Buy America clause in the federal grant, and so these buses are being manufactured in Minneapolis. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and so the kids can,
or
you said
Minnesota.
The kids can watch it, or we can watch and just see the process.
Yes.
And so of these buses, of these 21, 15 are going to be hybrid, 6 are going to be diesel. Another 8 diesel buses purchased are expected to roll out in January 2025. Now the hybrid one, those are the ones that you were saying, the electric, is that?
No, we have
separate?
We have a separate grant that we are in the process of starting all of our studies, because we're going to have to retrofit our facilities, and these will be 100% electric. And so those are 20 buses.
They'll just be charging up that.
Yes. And so how do we do charging stations en route as well as at our facility? And we have to convert our facilities to be able to maintain electric, because when you maintain a diesel, that's a different set of skills. And we're going to retrain our current employees and hopefully start working with the community colleges of the world to build that pipeline for future mechanics.
Now, this all sounds great. We were talking about hybrid and electric, and it sounds futuristic. But what does this actually mean for the sustainability of RTA?
So, one, it helps will help reduce our fuel consumption costs. But I like to think about it, what does it mean for the sustainability of our community, right? So if we reduce our emissions, right, New Orleans has one of the highest asthma rates as it relates to our children.
Yeah.
Right? So if the buses are no longer emitting, so hopefully our kids can get to school and our parents don't have to mark off late or mark off from work to take care of the child. The parent doesn't have an asthma attack, right? Because we are reducing our emissions. And so that's how I like to look at it, is it's going to benefit our community. They'll be quieter, right? Electric vehicles are just quieter. So it'd be, lots of benefits for our community.
Now, I know that we were talking about another rollout happening in 2025. In total, how many new buses are we looking to have by, let's say, 2030?
So by 2030, we're looking at ordering probably 20 buses each year over the next 3 to 4 years. So by then, we will have normalized our fleet. So and put our procurement on a normal basis. Most transit agencies, Katrina threw us off. Yeah. Right? Most transit agencies order buses every year or every 2 years so that they're not having a high cash flow spike and having to order all their buses in 1 year, which is what we did between 2008 and 2012. So we're looking to normalize that. And then every year we'll be ordering either 10 or 20 buses.
You mentioned working with community colleges and schools for this work as well. Have you already reached out to like Delgado and Suna?
We're in the conversation stage, but we just hosted the New Orleans Career Center at our Carrollton facility, and it was phenomenal to see the young high school students who want to be electricians, who want to be mechanics, who want to be carpenters, show them what we do on a daily basis. That is a historic preservation facility, right? We have to buy parts off the shelf, but then we have to customize them for this 100-year-old streetcar facility. So those craftsmen, they're master craftsmen. They're not just Joe the carpenter, right? They have skills in how to maintain that streetcar. And so we're looking, many of them are aging out, so we're looking to start rebuilding that pipeline, because in some components, you only touch once every 7 years, right? So how do we make sure we start building that pipeline now while our baby boomers are ready to retire?
Going to the shelters now, and I know you were speaking about the different shelters. You said the 6 of them, right, throughout that you've identified?
We have 11 that have the shelters and mobility hubs. So we're really looking at how do we redesign amenities for our riders. The shelters right now, 11 of 25 are either out on the street, and then we're slowly rolling those out.
Got you. Okay. And then the hubs, the connector hubs, like you said, the Jefferson, the one on Carrollton and Claiborne, and then Basin Street and Canal. Who are we working with? Any local architectures, designers, engineers? Right now, Manning is doing our study on the mobility hubs. We have not issued the RFP for the design of the downtown transit center. We're going to be issuing that in the next 6 months or so, and we do anticipate it having a large local component as part of the selection process. And 4 new bus shelters were installed this past week.
Yes.
Where were those? We'll get it. We got to go to break anyway.
All right.
We'll be right back. WBOK, 12:30 a.m.
Thank you.
Back, and this is the morning show, WBOK, 12:30 a.m. with RTA CEO Lona Hankins in studio with us. Before we went to break, we were talking about the 4 new shelters that were just installed this past week.
Yeah, so it's at the corner of Canal and Galvez, Ferret and Napoleon, Gentilly and Norman Meyer, and Chapatoulas and Napoleon. So we've just installed those.
Okay, so if you're driving by today, the weather's a lot nicer. A little windy, but you can see those new installations.
Yes.
Now, you have been in your position now permanently for 1 year.
Yes.
You've made a year. And in that year, we have seen some great growth But then there's also been some concerns within that year, particularly about leadership training and coaching in your salary.
Yes.
When you see the headlines, you hear the talking. What's the truth? What's not the truth? What's really going on?
So this leadership coaching is for my entire executive team, about 29 people. And, most major corporations, executives often have coaching. The American Public Transit Association, APTA, they encourage for leadership teams to have coaching. It is considered a best practice. And so we decided to do an RFP so that we can have executive coaching for this team. We are at a pivotal moment in this agency in that for over 40 years, it has been a volunteer board managing a private contractor. Now it is a volunteer board managing the government employees. So that requires a culture shift in how we do things because it's a lot more transparent. The issues around how we procure things, and just how we make a culture change to be more customer-centric, more community-centric, and more equity-driven. Mm-hmm. And so we requested for coaching to coach our teams through this change.
Mm-hmm. And as far as the amount of money that it's going to take in order to do this coaching, do you feel like that is important money that's necessary, that's being taken away from doing things like making sure there's charging stations in each of the new shelters, making sure that the fleets are where they need to be?
So every agency should have, and every corporation has a professional development budget. And this is just part of our professional development budget. And this contract will be over a 3-year period. So it's not just 1 year and then walking away. It's looking for reinforcement and touch points.
Mm-hmm. We have a call on the line. Alicia, you're on the Good Morning Show. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Lona. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Good morning,
and
Alicia.
I support what you're doing. But, there's always some drawbacks and stuff. I, as a taxpayer, I am not comfortable with all the monies, the top-heavy monies paid to the administrations and stuff there. And then on top of that, we are now going to have to pay someone to help you guys be leaders when that should be a part of your resume, should be a part of your portfolio, your requirements for the jobs. That's me as a taxpayer talking about that. There was once a time when RTA was the best mass transit operation in the country. I hope we get back to that. Another thing is, I don't understand the routing and stuff. As a native here, I wouldn't even know how to catch the bus to the east, from the east to Canal Street. It is so confusing, and I think you all need to look at whatever bus that is that the people catch and is dropped off at right across from with that New Orleans East Hospital Drive and the opening of Joe Brown, and then they have to walk a block to catch another bus on Lake Forest. I've seen these people get off the bus and have to run to catch another bus or have to walk in inclement weather. Whoever designed that schedule is absolutely ridiculous, and I hope you all can get that together. Lastly, I'm good friends with Valerie Jefferson. I know you can't do anything with personnel, but I think somebody needs to look into the fact that because of her relationship with the past director, she's not being allowed to come back on the job. And I think she was great for the employees as the first black president of the RTA union. And that's all I have to say. But one more thing, I wish you all can find the copies in the archives of the Writer's Digest. They used to have great recipes, and I'm selfishly asking for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. Alicia touched on several points.
Alicia, I remember the Writer's Digest and the recipes in the NOPSI as well as in the, I think we used to get them in one of the bills, either the water bill or the NOPSI bill. So I remember the recipes. That is a great hint. We will see if we can incorporate that in our Writer's Digest. Around your challenge around navigating the system, we have a wonderful app called La Pass, and on our website that will help you to navigate our system. Even Google Maps, right? Mm-hmm. There's an icon. So technology has helped us quite a bit as it relates to navigating the system. I take her point about that transfer. Our long game goal is to create, just like we did a downtown transit center, is a New Orleans East transfer hub that is an appropriate hub for New Orleans East, where folks don't need to make those exchanges where they have to walk a block. So we understand that there's a challenge now, and that is on one of our long game. How do we solve that challenge for New Orleans East? I hear your concern as it relates to taxpayer dollars and investing. But I also know we have to pour into our New Orleanians. Most of our staff is from New Orleans or have been in New Orleans for a long time, and we have to figure out a way how we grow leadership skills, how we grow in development, and this is just one part of investing in our leaders, such that when the next CEO comes, it can be a local, and we don't have to go to California to look for someone with world-class transit experience. We can grow that talent. We can offer the opportunity for a New Orleanian to go be picked up by a MARTA in Atlanta and get some skills and come back to New Orleans. So that is my goal, is to grow leadership.
When you hear the comment, because of the payment, because of your salary, you should be able to offer that coaching.
So yes and no, right? I don't know everything, but I'm a leader, right? Leadership doesn't mean I know every skill set. It's how I grow the leadership. The other thing, when you look at the RTA salaries and compare it to both the private sector and the government sector, there's some things that we don't get that the government sector gets as it relates to retirement, as it relates to health care, the same thing in the private sector. So our benefits compared to, you have to look at our total benefit package, not just our salaries.
Right.
So it's a total package. There's some things that we're not allowed to do. We don't have a defined pension plan where you work 30 years and you get a defined payment. We don't have retiree health, right? So you have to look at our entire package, not just the payroll check that the person takes.
We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back to close out the segment. If you have any other questions, 504-582-9422. Kerwin, I see your question in the Facebook chat as well. We have Lona Edwards Hankins, RTA CEO, in studio with us. We'll be right back. WBOK, 1230 a.m. Good morning show. Lona Edwards Hankins, RTA CEO, in studio with us this morning. I'm Nicole Collins. Now, before we went to break, we were talking about pay, but now Kerwin has a question that I think is important, because in that talk about pay before, it got brought up about navigating the system and how students were even navigating the system. I hear all the time stories of friends who had to navigate the RTA system when they were younger, and I don't know that the same sentiment stands still for some of our youth, but maybe it does. Kerwin asked the question: how did the loss of student ridership affect the system post Katrina?
Yeah, I think it was a chicken and the egg syndrome, right? So the schools were coming back, and the RTA was flat on its feet. So schools needed to figure out how to manage their own transportation with the RTA not being up to par. And then, of course, the charter and everybody wanting their own yellow bus. So from a ridership perspective, most of our formula funds that we get from the federal government for maintenance is based on ridership. So it was a hit. I am hopeful that we can get to the point where, some schools actually do buy our bus tickets or passes. We have a couple of high schools that do that, and even a couple of middle schools that offer that. But I'm hoping we can get to the point where we can be reliable enough.
I was about to ask you that. How confident are you with the
Right,
reliability?
be reliable enough that our school system wants to take a second look at us. So, like, my goal is make sure we're reliable so that I'm not the reason Johnny's late for school.
Late for school every day,
right?
yeah.
Johnny's late for school because maybe Johnny didn't wake up on time,
Right.
But I think there's something about learning to navigate the system at an early age. I remember in second grade catching the Louisiana bus to Xavier for piano lessons with my older sibling. That was something that was just done, but also our society was different as well, right? So I said all of that to say, I hope one day we can have all of our high school students back on the bus. That will help us, both with congestion, mitigating some of these buses running in neighborhoods and damaging houses, because most of our buses run on main thoroughfares. So it'd just be better for our city.
Right. Alicia is clarifying. I'm specifically talking about the top salaries and administration office salaries and the political hires. I was being nice. There used to be a defined pension plan. Union got in bed with management and allowed those benefits to be taken away. The hardworking operators should enjoy the salaries and benefits afforded to the administration employees.
So the union employees make a great wage every year or every time for contract, and they have great benefits. Every time for contract, we take a look at, there's a gentleman in the transportation industry that publishes, he does a nationwide survey, and he publishes this data for the market. And so when you compare New Orleans operators, our union ATU salaries with the region, we're one of the top 5 in the region. So our operators are well taken care of. When we became 100% government, they wrote a section in the law that says we could not participate in the state's pension plan.
Let's get into the financial overview. I know that we talked about it a little bit, but the 2023, this past year's financial overview, you saw an uptick in passenger fare revenue, and there were some other things that happened.
Yes, so we had an increase in ridership, so the revenue, our passenger fare revenue went up. It's also back in 2021, we redesigned our fare structure, so it shows that people are taking advantage of our reduced rates and buying the bulk passes in order to, because we have a day pass, but it's really cheaper to buy a 30-day pass, right? So it's cheaper it's a better deal for our riders to buy a 30-day pass. And so we're seeing ridership increase, be it, the folks not wanting to buy an Uber to go out, they'll take the streetcar downtown to go out. And so it's just a much more affordable way to travel.
And your vision for the future, we know what happened in 2023. What does 2024 and beyond look like? I know we've had some mentioning of hybrid and electric vehicles. We know we talked about some of the installations. What else is it looking for?
So we're really focused on rider amenities, like what I've outlined, but also we're looking to move the agenda, move the needle on our bus rapid transit plan. We have a study that has been completed, and we're now in the federal government's capital investment process. So we're looking to start that, re-engage the community and start that in a more robust way. So my vision for New Orleans is almost Alicia's vision, right? RTA was once had the best transit system, but how do we make sure that our people can get where they need to get to, when they need to get to, so we can give them more time, time to live, time to work, time to be reliable, time to play with their families. So how do we do that? In addition to relieving congestion for our city, we look at some of our traffic congestion. If you put 30 cars versus 30 people on a bus, right? It's just a no-brainer. How do we get there faster?
And part of that vision for her is better pay for the operators. Do we see more pay for the operators being something in the future?
So we have a contract negotiation. I mean, we have contracts that are negotiated every 5 years. And so we just recently negotiated a contract with them. I think in 2022, that contract was approved where they were the top in the region, in the Southeast region. So they are taken care of.
Now, we know that all of this cannot happen in a day, in a week. Some of it can happen in a year. But what can we expect to see over the next several weeks with RTA?
Next several weeks, probably some more shelters. You can pay attention to the progress of the bus. Rampart is going to be returning. So Canal Street car has been not in service in the DDD because of the construction for the Rampart. So that service is being restored today, and the Rampart streetcar line will be coming online early June.
Okay. All right. How can people make sure that they are up to date with what's going on with RTA, knowing when these new shelters and buses are back online?
So Norda.com, they can subscribe to our Riders Digest, and we do also post projects updates on that website.
And the app that you were speaking of, they can...
The La Paz app, you can download that whatever the app
store,
and that will help you navigate our system and get service alerts.
All righty. Lona Edwards Hankins in studio with us, CEO of RTA. We can't wait for you to come back and give us another update of what's going on, and I can't wait to see some of these new installations around town. I'm excited about it, and the upgrades too, making sure we have charging ports. Because that's also important. You know, our phones die when we are en route all the time. So it's important to have. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you for listening today. The Front Porch is up next. Have a great rest of your Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow on the Good Morning Show. WBOK, 12:30 a.m.